Right, let's take us to Saturday night. It was an incredible game of footy. Strategy became a massive part of it, and you two guys are as good as anyone to talk us through it. Who instigates the loose behind the footy? Who then sits in the box and says, yeah, we're happy to go this way? Talk us through how it all unfolds.
Yeah, it's interesting. So this is a bit of strategy versus system, and everyone has a way to play against. So we're playing Adelaide this week. We think getting an extra behind the play is going to work well for us. We've all got our metrics that we use and our identity and how we move the ball, but it's mainly from a stoppage situation. You'll set up potentially 6 forwards ahead of the play, or if you want an extra behind the play and you don't want to drop off a higher forward, you'll use your wingers. So I think this game started with Collingwood saying, OK, Houston, we'll get you on the wing and we're going to put you behind the play at stages, especially at stoppages between the arcs, and we're going to have an extra. So Adelaide went with that extra, so 7-man forward line, and then after a poor start, I think they said, all right, well, we'll get an extra at our end. And within 10 minutes, it became a extra versus extra, so plus ones, and we'll look at some vision in a second. How and why do teams do that is interesting, because it's defensively, but it's also an offensive weapon as well. I think Horse, Geelong are the best at this. We'll look at 2 clips. I think, Horse, your clip's more based around a forward 50 stoppage where almost every team will pull an extra behind the play. But how do you deal with that when you're dealing with an extra in front of the play offensively?
Yeah, and as we look at the screen now, you see Darcy Cameron, as Simmo mentioned, normally most teams have an extra back. Their ruckman comes back and drops back, and you can just see with the bit of delay that it gives the opposition to be able to look up. They can't really go forward because they're looking straight at Darcy Cameron. Collingwood have done a great job there to be able to block up the corridor. They can't switch, they can't use their loose. Maybe I'm not sure whether they've trained it as much as what some teams have, but they go down the line, they decide to go down the line anyway. They get a bit lucky here. The ball actually spills down. You can just see Dacos come in, which they're normally really good at holding their width here. Collingwood, Dacos comes in. You see the ball spill over here, and the reaction time of the Adelaide forwards to get forward. Collingwood like to press those contested situations, and that gives you the opportunity when the ball gets over the back with really quick reflexes to get forward. And Simmo's going to go through, from the other perspective now.
Just pause this for a quick second, boys, just so I get. I'm not as sharp as Horse. I need to get my bearings. So this is the wingers situation. That's what I spoke about earlier, and I think Adelaide decided after 15 minutes, you know what, we're going to have our own +1. So these 2 wingers are Houston and Curtin. If you let it go, you just watch those 2. They're playing footy. They're holding their balance. They're playing that wing role. And the second, though, it goes out of bounds, they both sort of start peeling towards the defensive end, and they'll pick up the highest half forward and then free up a defender. And this is already organised. That defender, he's not going to be the spare for Collingwood. We're just focusing on Collingwood for a second. They'll work it out so Darcy Moore's free. So they'll come and replace. And eventually, as that ball gets thrown in, you'll see there's an extra behind the play. And if you look up the other end, they've done the same thing. So now, if you're Adelaide, you've got to be aware of that, and just bombing the ball in becomes an issue. So he looks up, there's your visual delay. OK, feed it back. That's great for Collingwood, more pressure, another visual delay, and then you try and hit this kick, and then there you get the ball back. The biggest issue that Horse and I spoke about, that's great, but what are you doing now if you're Collingwood? You can't go straight back as quick as you can because your spare behind the play probably needs to be used. And Horse, it's fair to say Geelong are the best at using that spare now. We've got a spare to get the ball back, but now we're going to use that spare to get the ball forward.
Yeah, it's not just a defensive mechanism. Geelong are great at being able to use that extra now in offence. Saw them play the SCG last week. They'll then use that extra and away they go to attack.